There comes a moment in every life when silence becomes unbearable, when the quiet voice in your soul screams louder than the noise around you. It's not the sound of failure. It's the sound of awakening. When you're broke, not just in your bank account, but in your spirit, everything looks like a mountain. Rent, hunger, rejection, your own reflection. You feel the weight of the world and the ache of not being seen, not being chosen. But that's not punishment. That's pressure. And pressure creates diamonds, or it crushes you. The truth? Most people fold. They beg the world to go easy. They pray for luck. They wait for motivation. But life doesn't answer prayers with comfort. It answers prayers with tests. And how you respond to the test defines whether you remain broke or become unbreakable. Let me be brutally honest. You will never change your life if you keep waiting for someone else to hand you a way out. No one is coming. Not your friends. Not your family. Not your job, not even your God, unless you prove you're ready. When Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times to invent the light bulb, he wasn't chasing electricity. He was chasing belief, inner fire, the kind of fire that refuses to die when the world drowns you in doubt. Edison didn't create the light bulb. He became the light, because he understood this one truth. You do not get what you want. You get what you are. So ask yourself, what are you right now? Are you tired? Broke? Drained? Feeling forgotten? That's okay, because being broke is not the problem. Staying broke is. But you can't fight poverty with money. You fight it with mindset. You fight it with obsession, with clarity, with a relentless commitment to becoming the person your future needs you to be. You're not stuck because you lack resources. You're stuck because you're building from the outside in. Let me give you a truth no school, no college, no success guru will ever drill into your bones. The inner world builds the outer one. Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate, started in a one-room cottage, dirt poor, no connections. But he didn't complain. He converted suffering into strategy. He studied, he worked, he thought. And above all, he believed. The poor man says, when I get the money, I'll change. The rich mind says, when I change, the money will follow. It's not about cash. It's about identity. You're not here to make money. You're here to become someone worth following. And when you do that, wealth, opportunities, and influence will chase you. But becoming unbreakable is not a motivational phrase. It is a violent, soul-deep transformation. It is warfare with your old self. The weak version of you, the one who procrastinates, who settles, who watches others win, and makes excuses for why you can't. That version has to die. You don't negotiate with it. You don't coddle it. You replace it. Because you cannot become something new while protecting what's killing you. You want to go from broke to unbreakable? Then understand this. Every day is a battlefield. And the war is not against the world, it's within. Against your doubt. Against your distractions. Against your comfort zone. The moment you wake up, the war begins. And your morning is the front line. You in the morning, you in the war. So what do most people do? They wake up late. They scroll. They complain. They move slow. They say, I'll start tomorrow. But the unbreakable? They rise early. They own the silence. They think, visualize, train, plan. They face the day before the day begins. They win internally before they even touch the world. Because here's a brutal truth. Your mornings predict your months. And if you're not intentional, you're accidental. If you're not leading your mind, someone else is. Social media, the news, the culture of mediocrity will flood you with fear, noise, and numbness. If you do not control the input, you will never control the output. This is not about becoming perfect. This is about becoming powerful. The version of you who can hold millions in your hands has to first hold discipline in your heart. The man who can build an empire must first build order in his soul. You can't expect wealth when your habits are poor. You can't attract greatness while living like you don't deserve it. And you don't attract what you wish for. You attract what you're prepared for. There are two types of people in this world. Those who react, and those who respond with purpose. The broke man reacts. He panics when bills come in, complains when opportunities pass, and blames the world for what his habits created. He lets emotions lead him. He lets circumstance own him. But the unbreakable man responds. He feels the same fear, the same stress, the same setbacks. But he responds with clarity, with strategy, with vision. Because vision is not seeing the world for what it is. It's seeing yourself as who you must become. Walt Disney was broke, ridiculed, bankrupt, and rejected over 300 times before someone believed in his vision. But long before the world saw Disneyland, he saw it. He walked through it in his imagination. He obsessed over every brick, every sound, every face. He built the world in his mind, and the world caught up. You don't build a better life with luck. You build it with clarity of vision, consistency of action, and courage in the dark. Ask yourself, when was the last time you sat alone in silence and asked, who am I becoming? What am I willing to suffer for? What am I building? And why must I rise, even when no one is watching? That's where transformation begins, not in a crowd, not in comfort, but in solitude with your soul. Most people avoid that silence. They drown it with noise, distractions, entertainment. Because deep down, they're afraid of what the silence will say. You're not living at your potential. But the unbreakable man runs toward that silence. Because he knows, pain is a compass. It points to the part of you that still needs to evolve. Don't pray for it to stop. Pray for the strength to decode it. Because every successful person you admire, every self-made millionaire, every icon, every king, bled for their vision before it ever paid them a cent. They were ridiculed, mocked, rejected, left behind. But they didn't stop. They couldn't stop. Because the mission was bigger than the mood. The dream was louder than the doubt. The fire inside outburned every excuse outside. Understand this, discipline is divine. It is the holy ritual that transforms ordinary men into living legacies. When you do what you said you would do, long after the feeling is gone, you become dangerous. Unstoppable. A force. Every time you show up for yourself, even when you're tired, even when you're broke, even when no one's clapping, you become a weapon. That's what discipline is, self-respect in action. And let me tell you something most never realize. The world doesn't give you what you want. It reflects who you are. If you want more, be more. If you want power, think powerfully. If you want wealth, move like someone who deserves it. There's no cheat code, no shortcut, no right time. The work is the way, and no one can do your push-ups for you. So what do? You build rituals. You master small victories. You dominate your environment. Because discipline doesn't start with willpower, it starts with design. You want to be unbreakable? Then protect your energy like it's oxygen. Cut off every toxic influence. Guard your focus like a lion guards its pride. Feed your mind truth, power, vision, and brutal honesty. And wake up each day not asking, what do I feel like doing? But declaring, what must be done to honor who I'm becoming? Because the broke mind asks, how do I survive today? But the unbreakable mind asks, how do I become immortal through legacy? And that's the difference. The first counts days. The second creates eras. Understand this. You are either building your destiny or destroying it through your daily decisions. There is no in-between. Every skipped workout, every snoozed alarm, every time you lie to yourself and say, I'll start tomorrow, you are casting a vote for the man who stays broke. But every time you show up, even when you're tired, even when you're afraid, even when you feel unseen, you are casting a vote for the man who becomes unbreakable. This world does not reward wishes. It rewards warriors. And the battlefield isn't outside, it's inside. Henry Ford was mocked for trying to build a gasoline-powered car. It can't be done, they said. Horses are faster. But Ford didn't just have a goal, he had an inner decree, a non-negotiable vision. He didn't argue with the critics. He outlasted them, and then he outsold them. You think you're at war with poverty? No. You're at war with comfort, with distraction, with delay. You're not fighting your bills, you're fighting your standards. Because here's the truth most won't admit. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your systems. And if your systems are built on emotion, chaos, and convenience, your future is already bankrupt. But if your systems are built on rituals, clarity, and hunger, you are unstoppable. So build a life where growth is non-negotiable. Get up at 5 a.m. if that's what it takes. Train your body, because your body is the engine of your will. Feed your mind, because your thoughts become your outcomes. Write your goals, because clarity is a weapon. Track your habits, because what gets measured gets mastered. And above all, honor your word. When you say you'll do something, do it. Not when it's easy. Not when it's convenient. But when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Because every time you keep a promise to yourself, you create a man the world cannot break. And don't mistake temporary delay for permanent defeat. J.K. Rowling was on welfare, a single mother, depressed, and rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter changed the world. Oprah was abused, broke, and told she'd never make it in television. Lincoln failed in business, failed in love, lost 8 elections, and still became president. They weren't born unbreakable. They became unbreakable through pain, persistence, and purpose. They didn't wait for the world to believe in them. They believed so loudly that the world had no choice but to listen. And that's your job now. To believe when there's no proof. To move when there's no map. To act like the man you want to become before you ever become him. Because belief is not a feeling. It's a discipline. And you discipline your belief by backing it with action, day in, day out, until your reality has no choice but to rise to meet your vision. So stop saying, "I'm trying." Trying is weak. Trying is a backdoor to failure. Trying gives you an out when things get uncomfortable. Replace try with train. You don't try to be great. You train to be great. Every day. Every rep. Every choice. Until excellence becomes your default. Because the future you want won't arrive because you hoped. It will arrive because you earned it, brutally, faithfully, obsessively, when no one else would. Let's be crystal clear. This is not about motivation. Motivation fades. It's a spark, bright but brief. This is about identity. Who are you when everything goes wrong? That's what makes you unbreakable. Anyone can smile when it's easy. Anyone can hustle when they're winning. But the world doesn't crown those who show up when it's convenient. It rewards those who rise when it's brutal. When your bank account's empty, your heart's heavy, your body aches, and your phone's silent. Do you still show up? Because that's what separates the average from the immortal. It's in the moments of absolute silence that greatness is built. When no one's clapping, no one's watching, no one's posting about you. When you build in the dark, you become unstoppable in the light. The broke chase attention. But the unbreakable? They chase alignment. They don't ask, "How do I look?" They ask, "Does my action reflect the empire I'm building?" And listen carefully. Purpose is the only fuel that never runs out. Money dries up. Hype fades. But purpose? Purpose compounds. You need something bigger than likes. Bigger than status. Bigger than approval. Your purpose must be carved from the pain you've endured and the future you refuse to live without. It must be etched into your bones. Because when life punches you in the mouth, and it will, only your why will keep you on your feet. So what is your why? If you don't know, find it. And if you do know, then breathe it, live it, bleed it. Let it infect every decision, every minute, every breath. Because a man without purpose is a loaded weapon pointed at himself. He'll sabotage, procrastinate, drift, numb himself with mediocrity. But a man with purpose? He's fire on two legs. He moves through fear like it doesn't exist. He builds when others sleep. He studies when others scroll. He invests in himself while others spend on escape. Because he knows this truth. The cost of discipline is pain now. The cost of regret is pain forever. And the pain of becoming unbreakable is far less than the pain of staying broke. So let the pain sharpen you. Let it chisel your edges. Let it carve the weak parts out of you. Because that pain isn't punishment, it's preparation. Preparation for the doors you're about to unlock. The rooms you're about to walk into. The people you're about to inspire. The legacy you're about to leave. But none of it comes without fire. You must burn the old you to build the new you. Burn the laziness. Burn the self-doubt. Burn the excuses. Burn the "I'll try." Burn the one day. Burn the victim. Burn the version of you that settles, explains, and justifies failure. And from those ashes, build the man who will not break. The man who looks at chaos and sees strategy. Who looks at rejection and sees redirection. Who looks at fear and smells blood. That man lives inside you right now. He's buried beneath comfort, lies, distraction, and fear. But he's there, waiting, watching. He's the reason you're still breathing, still listening, still hoping, still fighting. So stop looking outside for permission. You were born with permission. Permission to lead, to dominate, to rise, to build the life you dream about at night and doubt in the morning. But dreams die without action. And the universe respects momentum, not intentions. You want to rise? Then stop negotiating with mediocrity. Discipline is not punishment. It's the highest form of self-love. When you train your body, you're saying, "I am worth the effort." When you say no to junk food, no to toxic people, no to instant gratification, you're not suffering. You're sculpting. You're building a mind forged in fire. A heart that doesn't fold. A spirit so precise, so focused, it cuts through distraction like a blade. The broke man avoids hard choices. The unbreakable man makes them early, so life doesn't make them for him later. You think being broke is hard? Try being broke in 40. Broke and bitter. Broke and regretful. That's what happens when you wait too long to change. So decide now. That this year, this month, this day, is the last one you live as the man you no longer respect. Because success is not a destination. It's a daily decision. A man becomes unbreakable the moment he stops needing life to be easy and starts demanding more from himself. And yes, you will lose people. You'll outgrow conversations. You'll walk alone. You'll feel misunderstood. Good. That's the proof you're evolving. Growth is violent. It breaks your routine. It shatters your comfort. It leaves behind the weak version of you who needed validation to feel worthy. Let it burn. Let your old identity crack under pressure, because that's how diamonds are born. The world wants you average. It wants you distracted. It wants you obedient, addicted, soft, scrolling endlessly, surviving silently. But you weren't built for average. You weren't born to blend in. You were designed to dominate, internally first. So dominate your habits. Dominate your mind. Dominate your discipline. Not just on Mondays. Not just when you're hyped. Every single day. You don't get to be legendary by trying. You get there by becoming obsessed with execution. By showing up when you feel broken. By performing when no one's watching. By building when no one believes. That's how warriors rise. In the silence. In the shadows. In the dirt. That's where the real work lives. And when the world finally sees you shine, they'll call you lucky. They won't see the nights you bled. The mornings you wanted to quit. The years you walked alone. But you'll know. You'll know. Because you'll be a man who earned his strength. Who built himself with intention. Who broke the curse of excuses. Who stared into the fire and said, "Forge me." So listen, if you're broke right now, financially, emotionally, spiritually, don't you dare give up. This is not the end. It's the beginning. The beginning of the version of you who's hungry, focused, unshakable, untouchable, unstoppable. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more men who know who they are and act like it. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now. Because every second you delay, someone else is out there becoming the version of you you were too afraid to commit to. And if that doesn't set your soul on fire, then you're already gone. Here's the truth they don't teach in schools. You are not meant to fit in. You are meant to stand out, not because of your ego, but because your calling refuses to be quiet. And that calling, it doesn't knock politely. It roars in the silence. It wakes you up at 3 a.m. with that fire in your chest. It whispers, "You were made for more," even when everything around you says settle. You feel it, don't you? That tension inside? That pull towards something greater? That's not a fantasy. That's your future self, yelling through time. Don't stop. I'm waiting on the other side of your discipline. But you'll never reach him by following the crowd. You'll never find him by clinging to comfort. You won't touch him by playing small just to be liked. Because he only appears after sacrifice. After you've walked through the fire. After you've buried your excuses. After you've trained your mind into a weapon so sharp it cuts through fear like paper. And make no mistake, fear will show up. It's not a sign to stop. It's a signal to lean in. Fear is your invitation to rise. And on the other side of it, freedom. Not just financial, internal. Because the man who conquers his mind has already conquered the world. The broke man spends years chasing results. The unbreakable man spends a lifetime becoming the kind of man results chase. It's not about speed. It's about alignment. You want to build $1 million life? Then start thinking like $1 million man. With vision. With patience. With ruthless execution. You build your empire one brick at a time. One cold morning, when you rise anyway. One hard choice when quitting feels easier. One more rep when your body screams no. One more sacrifice when no one is clapping. That's how legacies are built. Not by waiting, but by working when it's boring. Grinding when it's hard. Believing when it looks hopeless.